There are four critical business functions. Are you missing any of them? Today on the Landlord Coach Daily Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Landlord Coach Daily Show. My name is Mark, your host and landlord coach. It's really good to see you. Last week, I missed you guys. I missed you guys a lot. I was out of town to a mastermind group that I belong to, where there are some pretty heavy pipe swingers in this room, and they are amazing people. And it's a huge opportunity to learn and to grow, to hold one another accountable. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic couple of days. So I didn't see you Wednesday. Normally I don't do Wednesdays, but every now and again I do. But Thursday, Friday, I was in St. Louis. And I do go to St. Louis quite a bit. I like it there. Me and my bride, we went there, got my ink done for the first time. That was awful. Cool tattoo, hurt like a mother, but I get it. I understand now why people get addicted to them, because they're like, hey, maybe I'll get something else. I don't know. Maybe I will. If you've got some ink, I'd love to see. Hey, we're trying to keep this somewhat G-rated, so don't need to see anything profound. But if you got some cool ink you want to share, go ahead and post it to the Landlord Coach page and to this. I'd love to see it. Maybe inspire me. Some of my fellow devil dogs out there, maybe you can inspire me some additional ink that you've got. Anyway, all right. So today you don't care about that. What you do care about is, are you missing any of the four critical business functions? Now, this one is not going to be specifically related to those of you who are in the landlord space, but it is still important because there are four key business functions that every business has to have. I don't care what it is that you're in. You've got to have these four critical business functions, or really you don't have a business. Now, one of those critical business functions is obviously the operations of it, the fulfillment piece, right? That's going to be straightforward. So again, if you're in a plumbing business, it's, you're doing the actual plumbing. If you're in the advertising business, you're doing the actual advertising. Property management business, you're doing the management of the property, the operational side of that. So those sorts of things. Now, in the landlord space, you might think, well, you've got as a landlord, you've got the rental property operations side of the business, right? But you've also got, if you're currently buying properties, I would argue that is a separate business. Because it's a separate function, even though they're related. If you do one poorly, the other one has to make up the slack. So if you buy properties poorly, the rental operation is also going to suffer, right? But I would argue that the operations of those two businesses are very, very different. How you acquire properties is just a different function than how you manage properties. It's a different skill set, different things, different rules apply. So that's why I look at every type of different function like that as a different type of business. So the operations piece is a kind of a straightforward thing, but we're getting ahead of ourselves though, right? So I'm going to do these somewhat in order, and feel free to poke holes in this a lot. But I mean, I know that there are more than four business functions. I've been, I get that. I've been doing this for a while, but what I'm saying is there's four critical pieces that you have to any business. The first and foremost is, how are you getting your customers? First and foremost, how do they even know that you're in business? So this is the marketing side. This is the lead generation side, the lead gen side, is how does anyone even know that you're in business, right? So that lead generation side is so critically important. And if you are just of the ilk that says, well, I'm going to hang up a sign and let people know, or I'll post ads on Facebook, you might be a little bit disappointed, because it's a very crowded market right now. People's attention spans are not only small and getting smaller. The problem is there's so much information and so much attention being drawn in so many different directions. It's hard to stand out in a crowd. It's almost like you have to be the loudest guy at the frat party just to get noticed. So, and if that's not your style, especially if you're in a firm like, if you're an accountant, you don't necessarily want to be like, out in front of everybody, punching birthday cake into people's faces. That's not what necessarily you're about. I know that wouldn't bode well for me to give someone a lot of credibility in that type of space. And And that may not suit your personality, right? But in any case, you've got to have some sort of lead generation, some sort of marketing function. Now, the marketing function, all that does is lets your customer know that you're out there. It lets them know that you're out there with a problem to solve. And it turns cold traffic into warm traffic. Cold traffic is they're not even aware that there's a solution to their problems. All they're very problem aware. They know that they've got a problem, they know that they're in pain, they know that there's something that's bothering them, but they may not even be aware that there's a solution. So they're very cold. So your job for that marketing is to get them from cold traffic to warm traffic. Make them solution aware. Then maybe even not necessarily that you're the solution, but there's a solution to their problem. So this is why it's important to identify who you want to work with, who your avatar is, and that's a whole other topic for another day. But understanding who your avatar is makes that conversation so much easier. So that's the marketing piece. So that marketing piece is really important. The next piece of that is the sales function. Now you might be saying, whoa, coach, marketing and sales are the same thing, because I've heard, when people, I've heard people in the past say, oh, what are you going to school for? What is it you do? Oh, I'm sales and marketing. I will argue that sales and marketing are two very different things, or two very different skill sets, because I feel that I'm good at marketing. I don't feel like I'm super great with sales. Not that I'm bad with sales, but I'm better at marketing. I have a better understanding of how to elicit and draw and educate to bring people from cold traffic to warm traffic, from a cold referral to a warm referral, right? That's marketing. Marketing is almost, it's almost that educational and entertaining sort of thing that you can do with your clients, right? It's taking them from cold, that they're just problem aware, to solution aware. Hot traffic is where they're you aware, right? They are very aware of you. They're very aware of their problem. They're very aware of the solution, and they're very aware of you, right? So they're very you aware, right? That's hot traffic. Warm traffic is that you are educating them and making them solution aware. Well, now that you've made them solution aware, obviously it's not hard to make the connection to say, hey, there's a solution and I have it, right? That's kind of making that transition from warm traffic to hot traffic. So that's marketing. Sales, and again, this is just my truth. Sales is an actual closing process. It's you closing that sale. It's you, okay, hey, so the lead comes in and that person is having the conversation, or however it's being done. That sales process is being closed. So how are you taking them from warm traffic to being closed? Again, what if you owned a coffee shop? You'd say, well, there's really no sales process. Is there really not? Is there not a sales process from upselling them from, hey, we've got $4 brownies that are 50% off if you buy a drink today. Would you like one? That's sales, right? And it takes a certain type of personality to be good at that. Some people are better at it than others. And certainly some people can learn this. It's not hard to learn. You just have to have an interest in it. You have to be, some people are naturally better at it, but I think everybody can learn that with a little bit of training. So again, there's marketing and then there's sales. So those are two separate functions. If you don't have a marketing function, you're never going to get to the sales. You've got to have some sort of lead gen to get these people in through the door, something. And I mean through the door, whether that is through your physical door or through an email inbox or something. They've got to come to you in some way. So that's the marketing function. The sales function obviously closes them into the sale and becomes a customer. Then is the fulfillment piece. You've got the operations, fulfillment, whatever you want to call it, that business function that you're actually in the business of doing. So that's the operational side of the business, whatever it is. If you're making, scones, or you're making traffic cones, it doesn't really matter. Whatever it is, that is your business, and that's the fulfillment and delivery piece. However you're delivering that product or service to them. And the final piece, and I love this one quote from Marcus Lemonis of The Prophet. If you guys remember that show, one thing that he says, if you don't have accounting, you don't have a business. And I thought, man, that is such a good, that's such a good and wise thing to say, because so many times, and I have an accounting degree, and I was neglecting this for many of my businesses, and when I was in acquisitions, and when I was doing flips, and when I was doing the rentals, all of that stuff. It was just like, well, is my bank account bigger this month than last month? Well, it must be making money. And that is a really dangerous way to operate, because I couldn't manage. I had no metric. I had no metric in terms of how efficient or effective I was. And I would argue that that accounting piece, yes, the metrics are very easy to come up with on the accounting side, but the metrics are also very valuable on the marketing side. In terms of how many advertising dollars are you putting out, and how many calls are you getting, how many leads are you getting, right? So that's a metric that you can measure. And the next thing is in terms of sales. How many leads are being closed, how many conversations are they having, or whatever the sales looks like, right? And then of course you've got the operational side of the metrics in terms of, what's your throughput, how many widgets are you producing, or how many, in terms of operations. Let's make this a little bit more landlord specific. How many vacant properties do you have? How many days on market do you have in terms of your vacancies and things like that? How many open work orders? What's your average work order day? Things like that. Things that are critical to the operational function of your operation, of your business. So all of those things, when you have those metrics, all of a sudden you can start managing by metric, and you can start seeing patterns in terms of where all of these things are good or weak, or are you doing it? Are you pulling back on advertising? Which is interesting to me, that one of the things when a country goes into recession, one of the first things that companies do is they cut back on their advertising, because they see that as kind of like a sunk cost. Which, again, if you're following this order, what starts first? The lead gen. You can't cut the lead gen. The lead gen has to still come in. Otherwise, you're not going to get sales, and obviously your operations will die. But it's counterintuitive. It's kind of like leaning into a punch, but it's one of those things that you really have to get your head around in terms of why that's so important. It's probably why, I did pretty well last year, because I leaned in. I was like, oh God, I really don't want to be spending that money. I'm really scared to spend money on advertising, or just let people know that I'm out there. And I did. I leaned in. I put some money out there with Landlord Coach, just to let people know that I'm out there, that I can help them, that there's certain things that I can do. And whether they spend money with me or not, that's okay. But you lean in, and that it sounds counterintuitive, but that's what you have to do. So those are the four things. Now, when you get real serious about managing by metric, then you can start looking at different things that are important to you. You can start saying, okay, is my cash balance growing, or is it declining, or is it staying the same? Well, again, we can get into sources and uses of cash in another conversation another time. But, when you are in a growing business, that's a use of cash. And when you are growing, you can grow broke if you're not careful. Those cash balances will continue to go down, because you need cash to grow your business. And as inventories increase, or whatever, that's a use of cash, and you can grow broke. Ask me how I know. Back in 2008, that's exactly what happened to me. I grew way too fast. I didn't have enough cash to keep on hand to keep the tide back when things got slow, and they did, and I just burned through my cash in like 40 days. So anyway, that's just something to consider in terms of metrics. We can do another quick conversation on metrics a whole other time, but these are the four critical areas. And if you're lacking in any one of those things, if you're lacking in sales and you never really close the sale, well, you may have leads coming in, but if you're not closing them, then the leads were all wasted. If you're not delivering on operations, then you're not going to keep your customers around for very long. If you're not profitable, and you're not going to be able to stay in business for very long. So these are all four very critical components that you need, and you must have at least all four. Are there other components? Of course there are. But to me, these are the four basic ones that you must have. I don't care what business that it is that you're in. And that is all I have for today, everybody. Before I jump off, if you are interested in in going to or becoming part of the Landlord VIP Lounge, you can go to, it's actually called the Landlord VIP Lounge, and you can go there on Facebook. Just request to join. I just started this group. It's really more for just just getting a group of like-minded people together. I know most of the people in that room already. A few people I don't, but it's already starting to gain traction in different circles, and I really think that's cool. I love seeing the dialogue going on there between some really awesome people. So if you are interested, head over to the Landlord VIP Lounge. and fill it out, sign up, and I will look forward to seeing you there. And of course, if you have any, if you just want to head on over to landlordcoach.com/videos, you can get a copy of the Time Wealthy Investor 2.0 for free. All I ask is that you just pay shipping. You can head over there right now and get your copy, and I'll make sure that I get it in the mail and get it out to you. And that is all I have for today, folks. So please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day. I'll see you guys next time.